What's up, man? It's your big brother K-Rino, and I wanted to talk about something that to follow up on a post I put up the other day about Botham John and how his family was hugging um, the female white cop who murdered this black man, Botham John, in his own apartment. And I touched on that the other day, but there's been new developments in that situation, and the new development is there was a brother by the name of Joshua Brown who was a neighbor of Botham John, and he actually testified against Amber Guyger in court, and now he's been murdered. And most people would say, well, it's a coincidence. It was just by chance. It happened, wrong place, wrong time. He was murdered right in front of his apartment and what looked like an ambush, mob style ambush type of hit. This man, I watched his testimony, and he pointed out Amber Guyger as being the individual that he saw exiting the apartment building right after he had heard shots when he was entering. He left back out when he heard the shots, came back in when he thought it was good, went up to his balcony, saw her coming out, pointed her out. Now, we all know that, well, I don't know if we all know, but many of us know, especially if we in the hood, that one of the biggest, most notorious gangs in the United States of America is the police department. They stick together. They bleed blue. And they ride for each other, whether right or whether wrong or wrong. And I'm of the belief that this was a straight out hit, man. A straight out hit. Because although the sentence that this woman received was only 10 years, which unfortunately, if she exhibits what they call good behavior, she will be protected, and they may not throw her to the dogs while she's in there, and if she exhibits good behavior, whatever the case may be. And she's an officer of the law. She'll probably do 3 or 4 years at best. So she got a slap on the wrist. So many were upset about that. However, he still testified against one of them, police officers. And I honestly believe that he was murdered by law enforcement. He was ambushed coming into his apartment and was shot in the chest and shot in the mouth. Now, the shot to the mouth is very symbolic, in my opinion. It makes a statement. When people put out a hit on somebody that they believe is a rat or a snitch, and I'm speaking even within their own organizations, the way they bump them off is usually symbolic. It usually speaks to something. So they may kill a guy and put a bunch of dead rats around him or something like that, or put a rat in his mouth. But in this particular case, Joshua Brown was murdered and was shot at close range, and one of the shots was to his mouth, symbolizing you did too much talking. This is just me. This is my belief. And as he was on the stand giving his testimony, you could see how distraught he was. And I think that his stress was a combination of the fact that he was reliving a situation and the emotions were coming out of him, but it also was coming from a place of fear. He was afraid. You know, if anybody has testified against somebody that's heavy in these streets, an organization that's heavy in these streets, the mob, the police department, government, they scared. Because while they've taken that step to give their testimony, in their mind they like, I know that historically there's a consequence to speaking against these individuals that they're speaking against. Excuse the phone ring. But this brother was afraid, man. And now in hindsight, we can say rightfully so. He was afraid, rightfully so, because now this 28-year-old man, young man, has been killed for, in my opinion, doing what this system, this judicial system, says that we're supposed to do. It's our duty as citizens to do. But only if you're not doing it to one of us. So I believe that this brother was murdered, and I don't believe justice will come. I believe that the police department will spin it. The media will aid in spinning it. They will say that he was caught up in something else. They will say we're doing an investigation. All of the usual rhetoric that comes along with things like this. And meanwhile, this brother's lost his life. It's deep, man. It is deep, man. I saw an interview with two of the jurors on the Botham John case, and they spoke about how learning how Botham John was through his family and friends, that he would want forgiveness for his own killer. No. You don't know what he would want. You didn't even know him. Even his own family who did know him, you can say certain things that you know what a close friend or family member wants, but I don't know, man. I gotta disagree with somebody feeling like their family member will want the person who killed them to receive forgiveness. I would forgive them. He would forgive them. Joshua Brown said he heard no police command or freeze, stop, police, none of that. Heard a little chatter and then 2 shots. That's very damning. So what is the end game to this? The end game is now displaces a thought in any black people's mind that if something like this happens again, you better not testify against the police department. That's the end game. That's the meat of this whole scenario. Because whether you believe it was a hit or not, it's still real freaky, man. The timing of it is real freaky. We can disagree on whether if it's a hit or not, but we cannot argue the timing being real freaky, man. So it sets up a mindset of fear. So the next time that brother or sister who was a witness or who was willing to speak out, they're going to be like, nah, I ain't seen nothing. because Amber Guyger is appealing the conviction, of course, and now Joshua Brown's testimony will be inadmissible in the appeal. So stay tuned. She may get out quicker than what we anticipate. Leave your comments down below, man. Opinions, whether you agree, disagree, or anything in between. Peace.